Guys, I am Yolanda from Harper Therapy. We are here in the Harper Therapy office. Toby and Hobbs are hanging out, and we are here with Krista today from Center for Discovery. And Krista and I go back a little ways. We've known each other in the community for a while, and we were able to kind of chat recently about Center for Discovery and the work that is going on there and the healing that's happening there. Yeah. So I wanted to share her and Center for Discovery with our community to let you guys know about what they do. So welcome.
Thank you. I know. Yeah, it's exciting. I was just sharing with Yolanda the whole Facebook Live.
I know. It's
such an interesting avenue, but I'm excited.
People tend to get intimidated by it, but it's about sharing the good work that you guys are doing. So yeah. I appreciate you being brave enough to come on. It is a moment of bravery for us all, but this is where I have to remind myself, like, we get to be who we are.
Share what we know and what we love and what we believe in.
And the good stuff that you guys are doing.
Yes.
So, you have been with the Center for Discovery for a while. And so tell us about what happens there.
Yeah. So I've been with Center for Discovery, our Tampa location, since we opened almost 2 years ago now. I started off as their consulting therapist, and over the last 2 months or so, I transitioned into their outreach role. So it's been an interesting transition because it's a little bit away from the clinical model of things and more just sharing who we are and what we do. So we have locations all over the country, but here in Florida we have three main. So we have our Tampa location, which is IOP and PHP for eating disorders.
Yeah, for eating disorders.
Yep. So we have a big umbrella. It's Discovery Behavioral Health, and then Center for Discovery is their specific eating disorder program. Okay. So we also have mental health and substance abuse, but those are other branches underneath.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so you guys offer different levels of care. Yep. For people who might have struggled with disordered eating.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, pretty much.
And can you let our audience know, like, what does that mean? What does disordered eating mean?
Right. So disordered eating can mean a plethora of different things.
It's kind of a big umbrella.
Yeah, it's a big umbrella. So although not everyone can, necessarily categorize as a diagnosable eating disorder, we work with anyone that has a difficult relationship with food, with body, with self-esteem, body image, pretty much anything in there, to the point where it's really affecting, their day-to-day life. So maybe they're not going out with their friends to eat a birthday meal. They end up just canceling it, or they're not,
because they have a hard time eating in front of people.
Yeah, or they might have a hard time eating in front of people. They might have difficulty finding something comfortable to wear, and so they're really caught up in those thoughts about, like, instead of going and enjoying the time with their friends, they're thinking, they're looking at me, they're judging me, whether it's in regards to what I look like, what I'm eating, what I'm not eating, all of those different emotions.
So kind of some of the buzzwords that people might be familiar with would be things like anorexia, bulimia, those types of words, right?
Yeah. So I would say, three, there's definitely many different ones, but I would say three of the main ones that people are the most familiar with are anorexia, which is primarily restricting food. Right. Bulimia, which can be a combination of things, but you usually binge on a certain, amount of food, and then you purge, whether it be through exercise or laxatives or whatever the case may be. And then binge eating disorder, which has been around forever, but we're really just starting to actually recognize that this is a thing.
This is an issue that needs to be addressed. Yeah. A lot of times people will kind of say, like, how do I know if this is a big enough problem for me to address? And I think that you really hit that nail on the head right away. Like, when it starts impacting your life, like if you're not able to leave your house, if you're not able to interact with friends, to work and play and those kinds of things. So.
And it might not even go to the extent of, like, not going, but maybe, for somebody, it might typically take 30 minutes to an hour to get ready for a dinner with friends. It might take you 2 hours, changing your outfit multiple times, or having to look through the menu online for the entire day or week before you go. We actually have assessments, like, on our website. We have assessments if you're unsure, like, is this a difficulty for me? Is this a problem? Is this normal? So you can go on there and just answer a series. I've taken it multiple times. Obviously, it changes depending on where you are in your life. But I think that's a good tool that, you know, if you're asking yourself, like, is this a problem or is this normalized? Like, what's going on here? You can kind of go on to the Center for Discovery website and get a free assessment right there, just based off of some basic questions.
Awesome. And so different levels of care, because depending on how much this is impacting your life, maybe how early things are kind of hot, there is, so explain to people the alphabet soup, the elemental P's.
So, like I was saying before, our Tampa location here is PHP, which is partial hospitalization. So sometimes people get scared, or most of the time people get scared when they hear the word hospital, which it's completely different, especially at Center for Discovery. It's much more of like a home setting. So we have like a living room, a kitchen, we have offices and group rooms.
But then all of the staff and medical, and the support, the professional support, right?
Yeah. So the partial hospitalization is basically just you're coming for a longer period of time and more days a week. So at Center for Discovery for our PHP, we have the opportunity for clients to come Monday through Friday from 12 to 7, and then Saturdays, which a lot of places don't have Saturday programming, from 9 to 3. So obviously, depending on how much you need, you might come every single day for that entire time. Or if you don't need as much, there's the IOP, which is intensive outpatient. So it's a step up from coming to see you once a week, or just your therapist or nutritionist. And that can be as little as 3 hours a day.
Yeah, and during that time, people are learning skills and practicing skills, right?
Yep. So they have a combination. Again, it depends on what level of, you know, treatment you need, but you have individual sessions with a therapist and the dietitian. If you're in the PHP, you'll meet with a psychiatrist, and then a ton of different types of groups. So some of the groups that I think are, you know, our basic, you know, multimodal approach, DBT, shame resilience, which I know you're extremely familiar with.
So DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy. It's a kind of a brand of therapy.
Yeah. So that I think that's the biggest umbrella of what we do. We have several groups on that, and then we have like a thing that's called the DBT corner. So we have a lot of sensory related things. So in between sessions, you know, if clients are having a difficult time working through it, they can, you know, redirect themselves and use those type of
learning tools and resources to use during difficult times. Cool.
Yeah.
And you guys are unique in that you offer services to a large array of clients. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So we treat as young as 10, sorry, not 7, as young as 10 and up, males and females.
Yes, she said 10.
10, sorry.
No, I think that can be quite alarming to hear that our kids as young as 10 are having struggles with food and image and body.
I think with the amount of education we've been trying to put out there as an eating disorder community in a whole, parents, schools, other professionals are starting to identify some of these signs and symptoms of eating disorders at that young age of 10, 11, 12. And so that's when, you know, they may be coming in. It's definitely more prevalent in, you know, teenagers, young adults, and then even into later adulthood if it hasn't been addressed.
But if we can catch things earlier, right, before it becomes a bigger problem, it's much less, leaves much less damage.
Yeah, and with obviously with our society and diet culture, it definitely makes it a lot more difficult to differentiate if, you know, your daughter or son are having difficulties in this area, or if they're, you know, just kind of going along.
Right. So you offer these different levels of services. You offer groups to the people who are coming in, whether it be for just a few hours a day or several hours a day. And then you guys also have a really awesome support group too that that you offer to the community. So tell us about that.
And that is actually something I am extremely passionate about. I mean, I really do love Center for Discovery all over.
All the components.
But actually started off leading the support group. So every Thursday at all of our outpatient facilities from 7 to 8, we have a free support group to the community. So it's open to anyone. You don't have to have been a part of our treatment facility before or even wanting to come into our treatment facility. And the other thing that's really awesome is it's for loved ones too. So family members, friends, significant others. It's a place for everyone to come together, you know, once a week, as often as you can come and be able to talk about the difficulties you had that week or successes, just kind of bouncing ideas and coping skills off of
So
one
how
another.
would someone know if going to that group would be a good fit for them?
Honestly, I would say if you're questioning it, it's probably a good
Probably
fit.
a good fit.
Yeah.
If you know someone or if you yourself are struggling with food and body image, then coming to the support and kind of getting a feel for what things are.
Yeah, definitely, because, I mean, you may automatically think, oh, this isn't the right group for me, or I don't need it, but you really don't know until you actually step in there and kind of get a feel for it after even, you know, going to a couple of groups before you really kind of say, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not.
Can I just say, I think that I'm really feeling like we should say, like, if someone is thinking, oh man, I really could use some support, but wow, that feels like a big step. Like, I tell people all the time that it's that moment that's the moment that you feel the most weak, or you know, it's the most vulnerable moment for sure. But that really is the moment of most strength when you are at that point where you're willing to take that step of action. So it does not mean that you are weak. It means that you are super brave.
Courageous for sure. It's not easy to walk into anything that's new.
Right.
You know, meeting up with a new friend that maybe you were connected with by family, or going on a date, or anything new, joining a new hobby or class.
Right.
Those
are new good things, right? Yeah.
So is a support group too.
Yeah. Right. That's the end result, is that it is a new good thing. It just doesn't feel, the thought of it doesn't feel maybe so good.
And I think what makes our group really helpful, being that it, you know, also caters to support family members, is if you are anxious, which I'm sure everybody is going into that first, second,
you're not
support
alone.
group.
No.
That's something actually we talk about a lot. Like when there's new people that come into the group, that's one of the first things that they end up talking about. Like, hey, I was there. And I felt the same way the first time that I came.
Yeah.
But if you're someone that's really anxious, you can bring mom, dad, sister, brother, best friend, and that makes it a tiny bit easier. You know, gives you that little push that you might be needing to start the first time.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
What else would you like for people to know about Center for Discovery?
Our free support groups is definitely like the thing that I think kind of might get lost a little bit. So definitely the support group and the different levels of care. So I didn't really mention much about residential because we don't have one currently in our Tampa location. But we do have a residential in Orlando. It's Montverde. It's kind of in the Orlando area for adolescents. So if
you have a teen who is struggling,
who's really struggling, then we have a beautiful house out there, and we actually do equine therapy over there, and you know, we still keep the same model of treatment in regards to like the groups and the amount of
stuff,
therapy and nutrition and psychiatry.
Cool. Thank you for being brave and coming on.
I know. Thank you for supporting me and giving me the little push I needed to kind of be brave enough to go on this live.
No. I love Krista. She's great. And a yoga instructor too.
Yeah. So we also have, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that I haven't mentioned. Mindful movement is a huge piece of our program too, because in addition to like the self-esteem and the food, oftentimes people have an unhealthy or a negative relationship with movement or exercise. So at our facility in Tampa, we primarily do yoga because I am a yoga instructor. But depending on which facility, it just depends on what the therapist.
Who's there,
we have dance movement therapy in some of our other facilities. It just kind of depends on who's in the treatment team and what we can bring to the table. So we'll go on mindful walks, and we actually have a playground nearby our Tampa location, so we'll go swing on the swings.
That's
and just
the best.
Refinding that
we forget
joy.
how therapeutic swinging on a swing is.
Oh my gosh!
I gotta find one now.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we get very bombarded by the idea that movement or exercise has to be to punish ourselves or to lose calories or do this and that. And we forget that, yes, our body needs it, but our body loves to move.
Right.
And so finding out, like, what you like to do. Like, I love to go bike riding, and I like yoga and water activities.
Yeah.
Do I want to go to a gym? No.
Yeah.
Is it okay that people like going to the gym? Of course,
Absolutely.
as long as you enjoy it. That's the thing, is identifying what you like to do and what brings you joy.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's another great component.
That is, and a good reminder for us, right?
Definitely.
To be able to have fun in doing those things too, and taking good care of ourselves.
Yes.
Awesome. So, Center for Discovery, we will link to them and their Facebook page and their website. So check them out. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you soon.